Onto it downstairs. The guy wants to talk to you. Seriously. Anyone. Coming up.
Somebody's coming up. Something serious. Somebody's coming up. Something serious.
That's right outside the door. Hey, Vasquez, get back.
Man, there's a big fucking signal.
How you doing, Vasquez? Talk to me. Almost there. Okay.
12 meters. 11. 10.
Is it right on?
9 meters. Short controller. 8 meters. 7. 6. It's reading right, man. Look.
You're not reading it right.
5 meters, man. 4.
What the hell?
Hey, everybody. It is Sunday morning with Sapien. I am your host, Greater Sapien, also known as Jerry Williams. Nice to see you all. Let's see who all is in the room today. Who do we got here? Let's get some shout outs going on. We got Graham, Sean Hawkins. Nice to see you. Let me get this out of my way. Brainery, nice to see you. I'm just going to scroll back here. So give me a second. Let's see. We got Graham King in the room. Mac the Mad. Yeah, let's kick 2018 out the door. Seriously, people. How's my sound here? I don't know, I'm giving you too much input. Let's see. Oh, I'm going to put this in slow mode. I'm going to slow you guys down just a little bit. So give me a second as I do this. Stream seems to be doing all right. Let's slow you down to... Right, back we go. Please, let's see who else is in the room. Oh, I need to open up my Discord for those of you who are sitting in the Discord. Yeah, sorry, a little behind this morning. Cool, 5x5, thank you very much. Mandelbrot, AT2, cool. Sean Hufford, Bob the Science Guy, hey. How you doing there, Bob? Putting out good work these days, Bob. Shauna Howard, hey, what's up? That is Aliens, yes. For anybody who has a good ear that could hear what was going on in that music, chime in if you know what the two clips that were used in there. That was a mix. That was by my man Iceberg Slick, who does all the music that I use. It's from a mixtape of his back from like, I don't know, 99 or something like that. But that one is a favorite of mine. It's got 2 movie edits in there. I don't know if you guys know what the references are in there. Yes, there is one besides the Aliens one, at the very beginning. Yeah, the one at the very beginning is from Leon the Professional. There's a little bit at the very beginning. Somebody coming up. Somebody serious. Cool. So Brainery, Sean Hawkins. Who else is in the room? Kiwi. I miss you. I got you there. Cool. DC. Hey, what's up? All right. I have a couple things that I definitely want to talk about today, but mostly I just want to see what's going on. I just want to close out the year. It's been a long year. 62 Callum, have I heard of the non sequitur? Okay, real quick. First thing, it's Jerry with a J. One of those things, just kind of with Jerry with a G. So it's Jerry with a J. But have I heard of the non sequitur? So yeah, I was on there back in June. I think like June 2nd or something like that. So go back and check. 62. I was on there early on and they're coming up. I need to go back on there again, but it's been a while, but it was back in June. Let's see here. Make sure I have some more stuff to do. Let me pull up my PowerPoint. Got a few things to deal with. Uh, 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 let's see. Thank you all for your great feedback on my last video. That was a fun one to do. It's interesting. I haven't gotten a whole lot of pushback on that perspective video. So yeah, I'm curious as to how that one's going. It may take. I think it's going to take a few days for that to sink in for the people who are criticized. Like, well, I criticized Nathan Oakley directly and Phuket Ward directly. Haven't seen anything from them. Of course, you know, Nathan's having a little trouble right now. So, am I doing anything on the recent solo crossing of Antarctica? No, but I need to look into that a little bit. It looks pretty. It's madness. Crossing Antarctica solo is madness, but Mandelbrot, I saw a little bit of what's going on with Team Skeptic. Problem with maybe if he shows up, if Father Skeptic shows up today, he can tell me uh, what's going on with that. Yeah, I mean, that's I think he got a copyright strike or something. I don't know the specifics. Maybe, like I said, maybe if he pops up, I'll let him in the room to discuss it and put a word out to him. But yeah, trying to get people, strikes and things like that is a nice underhanded way of doing things. I mean, that's what happened with Nathan Oakley early on with me. I used a comment. I used a comment of his in a video, and he tried to get a privacy strike on me just for using a comment of his. Of course, it didn't fly, but that told me all about the type of person he was. So I was done with him after that. So if people ask why I don't go on his shows, because yeah, I have no respect for him in that regard. Copyright for doing a parody, huh? Have I applied to FEC? No, I don't. I see that going around a lot, but I don't pay that much attention to those guys. Are they asking for people to actually apply, or is that just a running joke? Sven, is that how you pronounce your name? I hope I'm not butchering your name. Hey, what's up? Yeah, interesting. Yeah, that's a way of trying to hobble your opposition, I guess. Yeah, but yeah, that's not my way of doing things. Have I seen Wolfie 6020's latest? Is that the one with what is his latest one? I see them all, but I'm a few days behind. So what is Wolfie's latest one? Let's pop out and see. Let's pop out and see. What is Wolfie's latest? Bum, bum, bum. I haven't watched Critical Think's latest either. No, he just put something up yesterday. Oh, these satellites. I watched half of that one. I haven't watched I don't think I actually got into Wolfie's original content on that one yet. I got distracted by something else. But it's going to be solid. Wolfie does solid work. I haven't watched South Park in years. It's just one of those. I mean, it's been around forever. I haven't watched it past, I don't know, like season 10 or something like that. Just haven't had time. I catch up on it every so often. But yeah, I saw where Wolfie was using his telescope to track, and so I saw where it got to the point where he stopped the the tracking and turned off the motion so that all the stars end up moving, and then the satellite was in place. That was kind of pretty awesome. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wish I had that kind of technology at my. I'm getting all sorry. There's all sorts of family stuff going on. So I got all sorts of little dings and notifications going on. Let's see. Let's see. I have a huge question for you. I always get arguments with my friends. This is from Maxwell about this. Do you think it's that there are things that can be considered 100% true? Well, you can consider it. Yeah, there are things could be considered 100% true, like the fact that I am alive is 100% true. But then, philosophically, which is why I don't like philosophy. There's always ways of trying to deconstruct something into how do you know that you're a human? How do you know that you're an actual mind? Once you start getting into all those things, like the nature of reality, then then there's nothing you could say is 100% true. But if you agree upon certain if you agree upon certain fundamentals of reality or something, then there are things that are considered 100% true. But for example, I could say that this table is a solid. That's 100% true. But if you could go into the physics of it, you could actually look into, the fact that there is deformation, whatever. Yes. Emotionally mimetic psychopath. Yes, I agree. Yes, Graham, they can be got, but not cheaply. And this is one of those things that isn't worth the effort for what I want to do. That's I mean, I put enough time and effort into these things as it is, and I will be decreasing the amount of time and effort I'm putting in these as time goes on, because it's time to change up and refocus, on art and family and things like that. Maybe I should have said that the other way around: family and art. But but yeah, that's putting that kind of money and things into this is not something I can justify. I just got in trouble with Steve McRae. Does this look like a face of someone who cares? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm not. Yeah, I like Steve, but I don't think I could have many discussions with him because that's just not. I don't care. I just don't care about that kind of stuff. He's good at it. He enjoys it. But I don't think philosophy. Yeah, this is going to get me in trouble with him. I don't think philosophy pertains to reality enough. And I understand the need to discuss certain things just as on an intellectual level, but it's also when it comes down to it, you have to actually deal with the way people actually are and what they actually do. And philosophy doesn't hit reality enough for me. So yeah, that'll get me in trouble with them. How do you deal with people who deny the truth even when it's in front of them because it would really make me? It can be it can be very angering, um, and it's also be very disheartening when you see somebody who uh, just denies reality. It's There's the denying of reality, and then there's also the people who just you can see that there's an intellectual barrier to grasping reality, and that's the stuff that's really painful. It's like, how can you not? How can you not see the ABC of what's in front of you? It's incredibly frustrating. Mm-mm. Let's see who else is in it. You're gearing up to do astrophotography. Excellent. Sounds awesome, Sean. That would be a great Yardy in a movie. Is that a compliment? I'm not exactly sure it is. Uh, Surprisingly interesting. Asks, why do I think I'm greater than everyone else? Did I actually say that? Surprisingly interesting. Did you actually hear me say that I think I'm greater than everybody else? So until you hear me say that, then you cannot put that opinion in on me. Uh, Emotional mimetic psychopath. Angering, don't I mean anger inducing? No, no. Yeah, I understand your preference for a preference for word usage, but I also love just I love language and the ability to express a message through manipulating language. So I will say angering. Yeah. And then I will even say, you have a preference for word usosity. Boy, that hurt, didn't it? I'm sure it did. I'll make up words right and left. Uh, Oh, okay. So we're gonna have this little. Hold on a second. We're gonna have this little side conversation with surprisingly interesting. Uh, let's see. Interesting. My name is Greater Sapien. Correct. No, my username is Greater Sapien. That's not. Yeah, that's my username. And so, do I need to go into the specifics of why I call myself Greater Sapien and where I came up with it? I can. Uh, I'll wait for your next question there. Surprisingly, I don't know. You're surprisingly uninteresting now. Let's see. Soundbite edited and saved. See, you gotta watch what you say. Gotta watch what you say. Yes, unable to understand and willing to understand. Yeah, but they're both incredibly difficult to deal with, and you have to kind of have your own your own comfort with yourself to be able to just kind of you know kind of like tai chi your way through it, which is what I do. Um, for example, last night I was out to dinner with a friend. Some friends and his young daughter, I think so, 11 years old, who's she's an 11-year-old girl and she's on her phone for Instagram, live, all night, throughout dinner, throughout everything. And even though I wanted to talk with my buddy as much as possible, I wanted to give him a break, so I spent the whole dinner right across the table from her, and just had like a showdown of willpower and uh trying to force her to have a conversation with me as opposed to be on her phone. And in order to do that with an 11-year-old girl who is, by her own right, actually, she's more famous on Instagram than I am here at 11 years old. She's got like 40,000 followers or something like that on Instagram. She's very talented at what she does, actually. But her sole focus is, not dealing with the reality around her, just dealing with that there. And you know, you have to have the ability to just kind of let all that kind of you're another human being, you're an adult and you're not worth my time and I'm going to stay focused on this thing. You have to kind of let that wash over you and just keep driving at that person and make them pay attention to you. And I did that for like an hour and a half. It was great. It was, but you have to be able to get to that spot and let those things wash past you and just keep driving forward to what you think needs to be done. Let's see. Yeah, it is difficult to educate those. Young Blue, you're late. No big deal. I'm not doing anything right now. Hop over on Discord if you like, Young Blue. Let's see. I saw another question in here. Let's see. Ooh, had a discussion last week. Philip Cush says had a discussion last week. Have my opinion. If I could go back in time and change one thing that would make the world a better place, what would it be? Oh man, that's a tough one. Because one, I'd have to go back in disguise because there's generally not many good places in the past that are good for Black people. So, uh, you know, so there's not many places I would go. Uh, so I'd have to be secret about it. What would I change? One thing. Um, I don't know because there's when it comes to that kind of thing, I can't help but go the full science fiction way with it. Um, if I changed anything that of significance in the past, um, I wouldn't have what I have today. And uh, for all the things that have happened in the past, um, not having my wife and my son is not worth the risk. It's like I'm sorry, but um, if there's no guarantee that I would have the family that I have, it's not worth it. Sorry guys, it's just not. Let's see. Young Blue, you didn't have to bring up Anne. That's on you this time. Let's see. Darth Killer. Psychologically, in conversations, we have 3 states of mind: parent, adult, and child. Proper arguments are made when we talk about adult. Talk adult to adult, not parent to child. Well, yeah, at a certain level, I could go with that for a while. I like teacher and student, you know, but not necessarily adult, a parent child, but that's semantics. I don't think there's a hey, Young Blue. There's a question about Discord stuff in there. You're much better at that than I am. Okay. Oh, I guess surprisingly interesting is not interested anymore to continue asking those questions. Actually, there's a little bit of housekeeping I want to do here. Let's see if I can. Let's see. I'm going to do a quick screen share just because you can see what I'm reacting. I was just going. I was real busy yesterday, so I didn't have a chance to. Let's see. Let's do this here. To check my comments that much, and so I started checking comments this morning. And so you go through comments, and you come across these things here, and I just want to make a quick comment on the type of person this is. So this is from a person called a user called Race and Crime. Let me just get rid of that there. Person's username is delightful, delightfully specific. Race and Crime, and they took hey L Boogie. If I were a samurai sword, a bow or sword, I'd use a sword. I am a close fighter. I like infighting, so the closer, the better. I feel more comfortable that way. From years of sparring, I'll do my outside work, but I really prefer to get inside and get real close. That's my thing. So this user here, Race and Crime, had a comment on my channel, and as I say, they take exception of my claim of being anti-racist, and just people wonder what my standard are on certain things, and one of them is I don't tolerate racist people. I just don't. And so this person here, I'm not going to change screen again. What I'll do is I went and checked out their channel, and of course, their little logo here says "Thank you for not mixing." It's a different color people, and it's against race mixing. And I am automatically blocking this person. I just hadn't. I saw it just before I got on here, so I'm automatically blocking this person. I don't have time for this type of human being in my chats, my discussions, anything like that. It's just, they're not worth my time, and I'm not going to allow them to have any type of forum on my channel. And that's just the way that goes. It just doesn't play with me. Let's see who else is in there. Peter Davey, biogenesis proves evolution is fake. That's a statement without anything to back it up. Let's see. What else do I have here in terms of? Oh, this one here. So can you see these comments here? Lieutenant Dan's legs. Hey, good morning. I think these are two comments that I was going to comment on, and a third one, which is actually the answer to the comment. Bill Wall, who comments quite often, was asking about perspective, and is basically asking Wolverine 314's question in another way. So Wolverine 314, it says, how do you see a curve going along the horizon towards the horizon, but the horizon itself is flat or horizontal? So, and then Bill Wall is asking about left, right, x-axis, and y-axis being forward and backwards. No, y-axis is not forward and backwards. Y-axis is up and down. This is the z-axis, but we'll move on. According to my statement, Renee, thank you very much for your super chat. It is much appreciated. According to my statement, you're saying that you can see half of the y-axis curve, but not the z-axis. Yeah, you got mixed up there. They should exactly the same. So he's saying that it's a rewording of the same thing, that you should be able to see the same thing along both axes. And Bob here chimed in with actually a really good example where the curve is from the side on. Ask him how to determine if a 4x2 is straight. Do they look down look side on or down the length? And it's absolutely true. I'm going to do another example here, but I do have, and hopefully this will work well enough. Let's see, let's stop presenting that there. And hopefully this camera will work well enough. I have a piece of wood here. It's a little piece of wood, and I'm not sure which side is more uneven or not, but let's see, let me get to a spot. So this is a piece of wood, and you can't really tell how straight or how perfect or how inconsistent this side is just by looking at it. Now I look like I'm censoring myself. Let me just move this here. Okay. You can't see how inconsistent this side is just by looking at it this way. This is the horizon, and this is what you see, this flat thing. But let's see if we can both do this at the same time. I'm going to do this for you while doing this for me. If you look at it down the edge, you can see inconsistencies in it. Now this one's more bowed left to right. Let's try it this way. Yeah. See, you can see the slight, like there's it comes down and it dips somewhere right around here. There's a dip down that you can't see in other directions, but you can kind of see the inconsistency of it. And that's how obviously how you, I'm sorry, I probably was hitting the mic on that one. When you get a piece of wood, you go, it's like, is this straight? I don't know. Is this any good? You look at it like this, you look at it like this, you look like this, and then you look down the end and see where everything is. Because then all the flaws, yeah, there's definitely a dip right there. All the flaws get compounded on each other. And for those who don't get that, I'm going to do a little bit more here. Let me open up. You'll see this happen a lot, and I think it's a great example, even though people don't seem to. Why is that not working? Let's just go Illustrator. I'm going to open a program off to the side over here. Wait for that to pop up. Let's see. I'll do a little. That's a little side conversation. Let me move this over here. Sorry. Again, some more housekeeping. Opening up Illustrator here. While I'm discussing, let me just open that. I'm way over their head. I hope I'm not. But let's collapse all these guys. Collapse. So I'm going to do a share thing. I'm going to just kind of talk my way through it. I didn't think about this until I started up. So let's just put this screen on over here. Okay, so I'm going to, yes, compressed perspective. That's what we're going to show here, Darth Killer. We're going to do some compressed perspective here. So first, I'm going to make a straight line. Let's see, let's bring my stroke up. I can just make a straight line. Okay. Straight line. Everybody can see that there. And it's a little too thick for my blood right now. It's just from an aesthetic point of view, I don't like that. Okay, let's go with that. So we have a nice straight line. Whoops, go out that way. Bump, 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 bump. Okay, nice straight line. Now I'm going to put a single point in the center of this thing to make it curve. So first let me get my pen tool. Just going to add a point there. We're going to make it a little Bezier on that thing. Okay. So going to just give it one dot there. So I have shifted it by basically 1 pixel in the center. I've taken this. I'll shift it a couple pixels, just enough, so you can see that I'm obviously bending it. Okay, just have it by the slightest bit. So there's just the slightest bit of bend in there. Let's see. I see another. I'll take your money, Renee. I like the fact that you keep, making these little donations. But yeah, if you're doing it with the idea that you're funding my future, career as a flat earther, you're wasting your dough. Okay, so we have this line here that appears straight, but we know because I just changed a pixel on it. So if we were to take this and press it in, I don't even know if I moved it enough to do it. Yeah, I got to get real close on that thing. Yeah, it's hard to do. It's too small. 1 pixel is just not enough for this thing. Let's see. Let's go. Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna have a little bit there, and then we're going to our handles. Hold on a second. Make sure we're working. No. Why is my? Hold on a second. Yeah, let's expand. I'm sorry, I'm gonna do a little work here. I'm gonna expand this thing so it does a better shape. Okay, cool. Illustrator is being stupid for some reason. Direct selection. Oh, there you go. My selection tool got moved. All right. So now we're gonna take this, and actually we're gonna go back. We're gonna just bring it in, bring it in. And you can see as you compress it. Let me bring the stroke level up so you can see it. As you compress that thing, the curve becomes more apparent just by compressing it along the horizontal. So you stretch it back out. You can see, I hate when Illustrator. They just did an Illustrator update, and so all my transform tools are back to their old ways. There. Let's do that. So here we go. So we have a nice straight line. Compress it along the axis. You can see it's curved. Straight. Oh, it's actually curved. That's what happens when you're looking down at something along the when you're looking straight ahead, as opposed to. That's what happens when you're looking straight ahead as opposed to side to side. The differences are there, but they're not kind of compounding on each other for you to see the difference. It's just not enough. And also in your field of view, you might be seeing like 4 miles this way. But especially if you're looking at buildings going over the horizon, if you're looking at the top of those buildings, you might be seeing 15 or 20 miles that way. The top of the building is not at the horizon. Your horizon is stopping right at the drop. But you're seeing all those miles compressed this way. And so you're seeing them stacked on top of each other. And that's why it is what it is. Who was asking that question? That was Bill Wall and Wolverine 314. So I'm a little bit behind on some of these questions, so I'm going to go check again. Someone asked, I don't know if this is just Young Blue asking this or if this is someone else asking, what's my ultimate globe Earth proof? That's a really good question because it all depends on the type of person you're dealing with. A person who, for the most part, let's be honest, a person who's a globe denier generally doesn't care about proof. They will speak about proof. They will always request proof, but they don't really care about proof. Because if they did, they wouldn't blanch so much at the proof when it was brought to them. Uh, but so I don't know what my ultimate. I mean, the ultimate sorry is the fact that we've actually uh, photographed the Earth from space. Uh, is the ultimate proof, which is why they have to say they're all fake. You have to say the photos are fake, because if they acknowledge the reality of the photos, they have nothing. They have absolutely nothing. And I kind of I'm of the opinion that you kind of know how strong an argument is against the globe deniers by whether or not they even acknowledge it exists. Gravity defeats the concept of a flat Earth. They can't handle gravity, so they have to say it doesn't exist. Um, Two celestial poles just completely destroys the concept of a flat Earth. So they have to say the second celestial pole doesn't exist. Um, that's just the way it works. If it defeats them, they have to say it doesn't exist. So the photos of the Earth don't exist to them because it is ultimately defeating. Satellites don't exist because it is ultimately defeating. So things that they like, you know, they love magnetism because, you know, magnetism is something they can kind of fit to whatever they want, so that they're fine with that. But you know, they have to come up with magical rules for perspective because it doesn't really work the way they want. They have to do things like make the sun not a real thing, because, you know, and that I saw that apparently Phuket Word is now saying the sun is not a real object. Why? Why is the sun not a real object? Because if it is a real object, it defeats their concept of perspective, proving, you know, and a flat Earth. You need something? Okay. So they have to just say they have to just change it altogether. So you pretty much, you know, you're on the right track if someone basically just denies the existence of what you're talking about. Mhm. Let's see what else. Oh, someone mentioned my name. Yes, Bob the Science Guy. Yeah, gravity. Hey. Yes, I did. Do think I saw that picture of Lake Ontario. Okay, let's see what else there was. There was. I had something that popped up this morning. Oh, and then there's some people. I don't know. My my video on perspective, which I really enjoyed making. One critique that I have gotten. Let's see. Let's get rid of that there. Which I thought was hilarious, is that many people seem to think that, or a number of people are saying, and I think that's the only thing they can do, is that that the whiteboard that I used was not truly curved, or that somehow part of it was curved and part of it was not. So I'm gonna turn this down, but this is just a little more footage of that whiteboard. As you can see here, that the is definitely curved. This here's the base. Here's the floor. The part that's at the floor, it's curving till it gets to the end of the wall, and then it goes straight up and down. You can see that the beam is curved here. Many people, not many, a number of globe deniers were trying to claim that that somehow part of it was not, that the railing was somehow straight. As you can see, that railing is not straight. Move that to the side. As you can see, that railing is not straight. It curves around as well. Let's see. Let's go around a little bit. You can see how the railing changes in perspective. It is definitely, I'm trying to get the wall in different angles so you can see that it's definitely curved the whole way around. And let's see. Hopefully this stream is going to hold up and not confuse you as it goes. As you can see, that is definitely a curved railing. Definitely a curved railing. Whole wall is nice and steady curved. But hey, they're going to find their excuses. Yeah, that is definitely a curved wall. But of course, accusing me of sleight of hand is also a way of just trying to dismiss the facts of what I say. So, yes, right. I am going for that best use of whiteboard award next year. I want it. Let's see. Oh, let me close that out. Dun, dun, dun. Bum, bum, bum. Anything else in the room before I go on to this other comment, which is massive? I'm not going to ask you to read it. Let's see. Anything else in the room? Peter Davey says, no, many flat earthers say gravity exists. They say it doesn't exist the way you say. Well, again, you have to, that's you denying the properties of gravity in order to, because the properties of gravity, counter what you say. Okay, I'm going to move on to one other thing because I think it's kind of important. It's just kind of an addendum to. I'm not going to ask you to actually read this whole thing, but our good friend Gleam popped up in the comments as always. Let me just make this bigger. There we go. And the nature of Gleam's comment is that these different points. So in my video perspective, I said when a globe denier claims there's a limit to how far we can see, he decides to talk about angular resolution. And so that's basically saying there is a limit to how far we can see. And that what Gleam is doing is ignoring what I actually said in the video, which was for any particular object, there is a limit to how far we can see it. So yes, this whole angular resolution is very true. If there's a mountain that's a certain size, if it gets far enough away that it goes below the that angular resolution of the human eye, that will make it so we can't see it. But if we have a telescope that can increase what we can see, we can then magnify that. But let's put that aside. Let's put artificial things aside. If Everest gets far enough away, we won't be able to see it. But that's Everest. That's why I said how far we can see any particular thing. But if there's something that's twice as big as Everest, then we can see that even further away. We can see that twice as far away. If we find something that's twice as big as that, we can see it further away. So, for example, the moon is very far away. It's much bigger than Everest, thus we can see it farther. And if the moon went further away, we'd still be able to see it. It would take a while before we couldn't see the moon anymore. Then we have the sun, which is even further away, and it's a lot bigger. So the bigger something is, the farther we can see. That's the very point I was making. So when Gleam tries to bring up angular resolution, he's ignoring the fact of what I said. But of course, that's how things go. Next, talking about the orthographic view, when I said it is an accurate representation of the observer, what the observer sees in the real world, this person chooses to talk about how it doesn't show the other dimensions. It doesn't show the width of an object and things like that. And he's also ignoring the fact that I said we're not concerned ourselves with the width right now, because when we were dealing with the mountains, we weren't talking about the width. We were just talking about the height. So it does show an accurate representation of what the viewer sees along a specific axis. So, but they choose to try to mince words here. and then they talk about using it for molecules and things like that. But yeah, but the person is completely wrong on here. Tries to go into other things, but I do want to address one particular thing that someone has brought up many times, and that's how they'll claim that. I hate to do this in PowerPoint. They will claim that an object seeing something in a oops, and let's see, I hate drawing in PowerPoint. Looking at something in a from this point of view doesn't take in effect in the fact that the ground seems to go up. And hold on a second. Let me format this. Get a little bit bigger. Okay. They say, well, it doesn't, this shows the ground going flat. It doesn't show the fact that the horizon rises. Thank you. I will check the Discord, Young Blue. Just give me a second after this here. They say this doesn't take into effect that the horizon rises for the observer. Well, let's just see. If I make another object here, remember this is the angle of view of our observer. So this is our observer looking at this object here. This is them looking down. They have to look down to a certain degree to see the ground. Let's put it down on the ground, because I know some of you folks, flat earthers, will say it's not on the ground. Okay. So as you can see, this is how it looks. Now, there's another object further away. And actually, I'm going to do, let me duplicate this. You can go bump. I'm going to put this here. I'm going to grab you, move you out to there. So this is how they see the base of this object, and this is how they see the base of this object. This is how they see the ground. You notice that this line I drew here is going down. This line I drew here does not go down at as steep an angle. This line here is higher than this line here, because the ground to them has risen. The ground level has come up. So even though it's still flat to us, it's still going at the same level to us. To the viewer here, this point is higher in their field of view. As you can see, the line is going at a higher angle here. So when people say that this orthographic view doesn't show the ground rising, they're wrong. The information is actually within it. So when I say that this has perspective within it, I'm not saying it looks at all the perspective. I'm saying the information for perspective along this axis is in there. There's the ground going higher. There's the angle of view, the field of view getting smaller. It's all in there. So that's it there. Let's see. And sorry, I'm getting a lot of chimes. I might have to leave pretty soon to sum this up. And let me check the Discord, because obviously something's going on over there. What we got? According to general relativity, gravity is not a force. Don't be biased, greater sapient. It still acts as a force. The net result is a force, whether or not it is a true force or the bending of space-time, uh, uh, given the effect of a force, it is a practical force. If ODD and D Marble were trapped in an elevator, how long before they start making out? I'm just saying that so I say it on camera because I know that'll just tick people off. It's funny and all, but honestly, those types of comments aren't really useful. Uh, Comments on whether or not what other people's sexuality are completely irrelevant to the discussion, uh, and I leave it to those who want to uh, denigrate people in personal attacks. Honestly, I don't care what. Actually, not only that, I don't care. I don't want to know what anybody else's sexuality is. There's only two people whose sexuality I actually care about. The rest are not my business. Just not my business. Uh, and one I know inherently because it's mine. But the rest I don't care. It's not my business, and it has no relevance to any discussion when it comes to this type of thing. So when someone on either side decides to make fun of somebody for supposedly being gay, or for some reason now on the globe denying side, they have this tremendous fear of transgender people. There's a lot of that kind of accusation stuff going on. Who cares? Get over it. I don't care if a person is transgender. I don't care if they're not. It has no pertinence, no relevance to the discussion. What's up, WRB? And so when I see, and usually so far it's globe deniers, deciding that they want to attack certain people supposedly for their sexuality or possible gender identity, that just diminishes them that much more in my mind. Uh, so that's just a word out to people who are on my side. If that's something that is an issue for you, don't bring it here. It's of no relevance and will just diminish you in my mind. Thank you for the time check. I believe let's see, please address the weather patterns confirmed with a Himawari satellite. I believe there's something missing from that one there. But yes, Himawari has every 10 minutes weather pattern stuff that's up there. And I think there's a video out there of someone trying to say that all those weather patterns are computer generated models that have been applied to it. And it's wholly not true if you actually watch that criticism. And I just didn't have time to put it together. There are computer generated models that are on the same servers as the Himawari satellite stuff, but that's I think it's on a yearly basis, and it's computer generated predictions for the purpose of kind of figure out what long term trends are going to be. But if you look at the actual satellite information for specific dates and compare them to those computer generated ones for long term, they're not the same. They are not being they're not skins being applied to that map. Einstein made it very clear that gravity is not a force, though. Cherry pick much, Jerry. I'm not no, it's still, it acts as a force. Correct? Does it not act as a force? So that's not cherry picking. That's just speaking the facts of the matter. And Einstein also made it clear that gravity existed, and that I'm sure if you asked, he would have said the Earth was a globe. So do you want Einstein or not? And this is not whether or not gravity is a force or what type of force, it's whether or not it exists at all. And so you don't get to have it both ways. You don't get to argue what gravity is and then try to say, it doesn't affect things the way we say it does. That's cherry picking. I'm getting a ping or something. It's been 1 hour. We're going to go for probably another 15 minutes, and then I'm going to get my day started because, yes, force equals mass times acceleration. Yes, it does. And that's exactly how gravity works. Whether or not it's a true force, like, an external force, a true force is one thing, but it acts wholly as a force. What the effect it has on objects is an external force on objects. Is it the bending of space-time? Is it still acting as a force? It's a force. Blah, blah, blah. There's no proof of gravity. Moving on. Anybody that says there's no proof of gravity, I don't have time for. What about Tesla? Someone says, what about Tesla? What about Tesla? Tesla's like the globe denying Jesus, mainly because they don't know enough about him and they kind of project whatever they want on him. But yeah, sorry, you can talk about Tesla all you want. Yeah, WRB and Shanglu, that's really not pertinent to the discussion, but I do know what's going on in Turkey and Syria, and that's some crazy stuff going on there. Yeah, whether or not I thought we should have ever been in Syria, you don't just you have to watch what you do. Yeah, there's a domino effect for things. What's the most interesting thing about physics? Um, that that it works. Right. So Bob, the science guy, I view Newton as describing the force of gravity. Einstein talked about the cause of gravity. Correct. That's a good way of saying it. And so whether or not gravity, it's the cause of gravity is a force, its effect is a force. Dale Yaws, Greatest Sapien, you need to do Are You Looking into Force Lines experiment? And no, it's not torque the line, it's force the line. Okay, well, I don't know I know the whole torque the line. Are you talking about the whole wire pulled through thing? I've talked about that already. I don't think it's going to work. I think the amount of the factors, it's a great idea, but I think the factors involved are they're too varied, and it's not going to work. I think a simpler thing is to use if you get a transmitter that gives a non-refractable signal, like something in a microwave band or even a really high a radio wave band, but something like in a microwave band that does not refract. That's the same as having a true straight line. And then you can just see if it goes. It's a straight line. Yeah, the whole concept of the whole force the line thing, which he calls torque the line, which is fine, is that if you have a physical straight line and you pull it tight, unlike light, which bends and will be refracted, there's always a factor in there. You can use a signal that doesn't refract and figure it out. Sup, Liam? I'm going to back up here to see if anything I'm missing here. Yeah, someone actually asked if I could spend a week trying to be a flat earther and try to prove the flat earth. I don't know. I don't even know where I would begin because the physics just isn't there. I had to somehow ignore physics, ignore math, ignore geometry to do it. Yes, but they don't. We're talking about someone says Mandelbrot said those microwaves refract, but they don't refract nearly as much as, say, the blue lasers that people use. Right? it's as you get further along the electromagnetic spectrum, the less refraction. From my knowledge, that's the case. Mandelbrot, let me know if and we were talking about nice low near the horizon, not necessarily higher up. So drop me some information if you know a little bit more about that. But as far as I know, it doesn't refract nearly as much as a visible light. Let me get back to my. Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, how I would be a flat earther. Yeah, it'd be very difficult. 24-hour video taken from video taken. They have a 24-hour video. There's a 24-hour video. Epoxy has a 24-hour video. I have to check that one out. Yes, emotionally mimetic psychopath. I would have to ignore scale and the application of math for a whole week. Yeah. Sorry. I don't know how to do that. I'm really curious if WRB is the same person, just in a new username. There's always one person that comes back every week that wants to talk about war, politics, and not science. Am I partaking in Ballers Day? To a certain degree. I'm going to be, I don't have anything that's particularly uh, flat earth challenging in terms of shirts. I don't have like a, come at me, bro, the earth is round type of shirt or anything like that. I just don't own those. Though maybe I shouldn't make those. Yeah. But I will be wearing, I have some, NASA shirt. I'm going to be spending New Year's on the USS Hornet, which was the aircraft carrier that picked up the Apollo 11 capsule. And I'll probably take some pictures. They have both the quarantine, what is that called? An RV type of thing. The quarantine, what's that thing called? Big cylinder looking cigar thing. It's like an RV. They have that there. They have one of the capsules, not the actual Apollo 11 capsule. They have one of the other capsules that were used there. So I'm going to be standing on an aircraft carrier in the middle of like moon landing history on New Year's. So that's something I will be doing. But I don't have a particularly. So I will be wearing like NASA gear, like my stuff. But I don't have anything that's particularly super challenging. Trailer. Thank you. Why couldn't I figure out the word trailer? Why could not find the word trailer? Thank you, Bob the Science Guy. Yeah. Can't believe I needed you for that. Hey, Technocracy, we're going to be taking off. I'm going to be taking off in about 3 minutes. Yeah, because you can hear my signals going off. Things are happening family-wise. I need to get involved. Let's see what else is going on. Let's see. Real quick. Let's see. I'm not sure if I'm not going to have a new video out for at least another week. I've got some things I need to get ready for. I have the next 3 or 4 videos plotted out. I have a project coming to fruition at the end of the month, at the end of January, early February. So I'm going to be setting up a series of videos. Thanks, Bob. Setting up a series of videos leading up to that larger project. I just got another Science Synchra. Thank you very much for your super chat. Much appreciated. Do I think flat earthers are woefully ignorant or just misled? Is it a cop out to say both? All depends on the person. Most of them, I think, are totally misled, and there's a certain amount of ego There's a rebel aspect to them that they want to be part of like a heroic resistance. Uh, there's a desire to be special involved. So I don't think that's willful on their part, but I think they're really misled by their own ego. But then there's the willful part when things are put directly in front of them. When a flat earther says, "Explain why this happens. That doesn't make any sense. The Earth must be flat," and you say, "This happens. Da 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 da. That's how it works," and they go, "No, no, that can't be." It's like, okay, you're willfully ignorant. You asked a question, I gave you an answer, and and you're rejecting it because you don't want it. That's willful ignorance. So I think they stay flat earthers due to willful ignorance. How they get there, is a different thing altogether. Uh, Roberto Clemente. Now this one's a Miguel Tejada. This is a Miguel Tejada. Clemente would be great, but this is Miguel Tejada. Is from the it's more recent, like in the last 10 years. That's what that is. Yeah. And then we have Good Ash and Bad Ash. I don't know if you can see these things. Okay. Yeah, so we have Good Ash and Bad Ash from The Evil Dead right here. This is an actual gorilla that I made out of, that I sculpted. This is actually an actual, that's a caricature I made of myself some years ago. Gorilla. Let's see, this here is a deck of cards with this that is a designer friend of mine made. Dale Mathis, an awesome artist. It's kind of like this steampunk deck of cards. It's all cogs. Pretty awesome stuff. And then you get your Lion King and your Power Man and Iron Fist and all that kind of stuff going on. Let's see. GS Justin Fastazoo would love to see me debate Dell on the Non Sequitur show. I would only debate Dell on the Non Sequitur show if we could do it 2 feet from each other, like in person. That's when I would debate. I would debate Dell. If I happen to somehow be in Glasgow or wherever he is, I would debate him then in that format. Because he likes to just yell and scream and berate and name call and talk and just spew and have veins popping out of his head. That's the way he works. And I would like him to do that with me 1 foot away from him. And then we can have a debate. Yeah. Yes, I did get to see Bob the Science Guy's video. Bob the Science Guy's putting out great stuff, folks. You should, Bob, feel free to put your any links you want in the chat. That's right. Good Ash, Bad Ash. Who's got the gun? I'm the one with the gun. Let's see. If someone made me a little bobbleheaded D marble, would I put it on my shelf? Sure. Yeah. Let's see. Why is there the debate? Yeah, I'm not really into debating it so much. I'm actually yes, within punching range. Not that I would, but I'd like people to know that I'm within punching range. And when you're within punching range, it's amazing how people straighten up. Yeah, I think he's guy who thinks he's a big bad ass masculine dude, and I'm just not impressed by that. I have no problem with those people. I've dealt with those people my entire life. Let's see. Good. Put up Bob Science Guy. Yeah, I did. I can't remember who I voted for when it came to DFOTY. Oh, emotionally mimetic psychopath. I prefer written debates. They're great. Exactly. You can follow and you can check data. That's the other reason why I don't truly debate people in these formats, because they're allowed to just kind of spew whatever data they want, and you don't have a chance to actually check it. They can say, "Well, what about such and such?" And you're like, "That doesn't make any. That can't be true." "Oh, well, if you don't know about it, how dare you come here and debate about it?" And I don't have time for that. Okay, so we're going to sum up. We're going to not take any more questions there. So don't worry about it, Young Blue. Not take any more of those because I'm going to sum up and get myself out of here. Let's see. I don't know what you're referring to, Liam, but then hey, that's okay. Dell is a scientist Pygmalion experiment gone bad. That's funny. If you know the reference, that's funny. Well, let's see. What else is going on? Real quick. Join the Discord, please do. I try to actually be a little bit active, at least a couple times a week, which apparently is more than most people do. Let's see what's going on here. Packmaster sent something. Too long didn't read. I'll pay. Let's see. The person says they'll pay £10,000 to any flat earther supporter. They can create a consistent model of their view. Yes, they do have a consistent model. Actually, one of the next things I'm going to be doing, I'm going to. I think one of the next things I'm going to do is I'm going to be working on how distance works in a flat Earth. On the maps that they accept, the AE map makes no sense in terms of distance. As a person who's traveled a bit, at least up and down the coast of California, I know exactly how big this state is, and so that's something that should be confirmable on a flat Earth map, and you should be able to extrapolate out the size of the Earth on there. So I'm really curious as to how scale works, and I'm going to be discussing that in either the next video or one of the videos after that, just how the flat Earth map and the concept does not comport with reality. And how people travel. It's come up a few times, the travel paths on the planet. So I'm going to be doing a video on that. Maybe not the next one. And then I have one about how rockets work in space, the thermosphere, how that actually is set up, and a few other things. Oh, I missed a super chat from Kiwi. Let me check that out. Let me double check on there. So we have Renee's twice. Hey, thank you, Renee. You're a flat earther and you think I'm going to be a flat earther. Good for you. And then we have Science Synchro. Thank you very much. And our Kiwi, our New Zealand friend, something as well. Let's see. What do I think when a flat earther says, do your research? And I was like, well, a flat earther says, do your research as a way of deflecting from something. It's like saying, look it up. Just look it up. Just look it up. So you do something, you do your research, and you bring up a fact, and they don't agree with it. So they say, no, you got to do your research. Well, it's like I just did. I just showed it to you. And any flat earther that says do your research, for the most part, has never done their research. What they've done is they've looked something up online that confirmed what their point of view is, and so they call that research. I can sit down and just do math and figure in and do things without having to go to some other resource. I can do math and show that things are a certain way. I can take a photo and I can deconstruct the perspective that's in there from the rules of perspective and math itself and trigonometry. But they will say, do your research, because that's their way of just disregarding what you say. Now, what they mean is do my research. When they tell a science proponent to do their research, they're basically saying, do my research for me. And that's just not how things work. It also means agree with me now, but I think it also means just do my research for me. Figure it out until you can keep doing it until you agree, until you come to my point of view. Which is why I say that most globe deniers aren't really interested in the facts. They'll say, prove it to me, prove this. but they don't want to. They don't want it. And you know they don't want it because when you give it to them, they still reject it. Let's see. Flippers equal lazy. The thing is, they're not always lazy. Flat earthers aren't all. They put a lot of energy into nonsense. Yeah, I give D Marble credit for being willing to travel uh, up to Alaska to try to film the 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 sun going in a circle for the midnight sun. The problem is that was not something that was needed to be done because that's not something we disagreed on. Both globe deniers and science proponents agree that happened. So that was something that wasn't necessary to do. Sub Creaky, I'm doing well and I'm just about to leave. My apologies. I'm just about to get out. But that was, I commend him for having the energy to go out and do something like that. But that was something that wasn't necessary because there's no disagreement on that. He could have used that energy to do something else, like maybe go down to, Australia or the Antarctic and try to do something down there. So, they have energy sometimes. Someone's posting brainery at studiosapien.com. Yes, that is my website. You can get things there. I am going to be setting up one of those online t-shirt places to put up some designs so you guys can get things quicker than I send them out because I'm slow about these things. Nope, they can't understand how big things are on actual cosmic scale. They have no sense of scale. It's really too bad. Alrighty. Okay, let's see. I'm going to give you guys a few minutes of music for a bit to end the show so you guys can talk in the chat for a little bit. Let's see. I'm going to make a quick play. Let's see. 40,000 in the girl. Trying to give you a couple different songs. Let's give you $40,000. Let's give you Scary Story. And which other one shall I give you guys? Book of the Dead. Okay, let me give you that one. So boom, boom, and where's Book of the Dead? Make a quick playlist out of that. All right. Okay. You're going to be Bob's going to be doing a video on the scale of the solar system. Excellent. I'm looking forward to that. That is hard for people to grasp. Thank you very much, Brighton dude. Yeah, I'm gonna, even though, and I've told people this before, next year, after February and early March, I'm gonna be decreasing the amount of videos I'm gonna be doing. Not as much of new content in terms of like science stuff. I will be still be doing the Sundays with Sapien for the most part. I'm gonna be shifting my focus. I'm gonna be doing some big projects in late January and early February, and hopefully that will satisfy people for a nice long period of time. And then I'm going to be moving on to other things like getting back to comics and spending more time, with life. So that'll be one of the things that's going to be happening in the new year. So I hope you support me in that. And I'll be putting, art and things online. And I hope you will be supporting me in that journey. But it's time to kind of set some of this stuff to the side because the arguments are just not, they're not worth the energy sometimes. It's time to move on to other things. I'm tired of arguing about. I don't want to argue about science anymore. I want to just talk about it. So that's one thing that's going to be a change. Is I want to teach science. I want to explain science, but I'm not going to argue it anymore. There's no arguing it. If people have questions, I will answer. If people want have more questions, I will try to answer in a better way. But we're not going to argue about it. There's no argument to be had. Yeah, and there's a lunar eclipse happening too. Yeah, there's big stuff happening right around the lunar eclipse. I need to do something specifically about that. So with that, I've got 3 tunes, $40,000 in the girl, Scary Story, and Book of the Dead, all by my good friend Iceberg Slick. And I will be exiting with that. Give you about 10 minutes of music or so. You can hang out in the chat, and then I will shut things down. when that is all done. Thank you very much for all your support in 2018. I'm really looking forward to 2019. Got to get better, right? 2018 kind of sucked. Actually, it was really good for the YouTube science community. I think we kicked a lot of ass this year. There were some wonderful humiliations on the flat Earth side, a couple on the globe Earth side too. But I think a lot of great things were done. Next year, it's going to be even better. We got some new players on the field that are going to be doing some big stuff. Simon Dan's moving well. We have Bob's coming in. Wolfie is taking off. I have some great things in the works. And the energy level on the globe denying side is falling apart. They're going to be moving on to other things, I think, next year. And so I look forward to that. So one more time for 2018, try to learn something about the world today that you didn't know yesterday. If you can, help someone do the same, and always enjoy yourself while doing it. Happy New Year, everybody. I will see you next year. Take care.
All day.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Some nowhere sees a girl with $40,000.
Oh, now, come back, Lord Randy. You know me, I am the original Jamaican bandana. Jamaican road. Come back, Randy. Come on. Murder from
The end result of all the black light, the counterfeits, of all the champagne and free hotel suites, and all the frauds and all the booze. It's all been arranged just for us to get your money. That's the truth about Las Vegas.
You know what I do about happiness? I buy it off. Are you unhappy?
Not inordinately. $40,000 cash.
Sometimes I can't keep my mouth shut.
I never carry more than I can afford to lose.
Oh, I declare.
I don't. That's how I get to keep it.
I guess I will put this money in the bank. And go home and sleep it off.
What's yours? Real? $40,000. $40,000. Your girlfriend stole $40,000.
She was supposed to bank on Friday with the boss. She didn't. No one has seen her since.
No, girl, $40,000.
I don't want to post it. They just put it out there.
Was she in disguise?
I'll track her wherever you go. I'll get it back, and if any of it's missing, I'll replace it with her fine soft flesh. And for all, Cassidy, I told you, all that cash. I'll take your responsibility.
Heaven's sake. The girl worked for you for 10 years. You trust her.
Business?
Of course not.
$40,000 cash. Now that's what my happiness is. Buying off unhappiness.
I still can't believe. Must be some kind of a mystery. I can't. You checked with the bank, no? They never laid eyes on her, no? You still trust him? Hot creeper. She sat there while I dumped it out. Hardly even looked at it. Playing. And she was flirting with me.
No one has seen her since.
Some nowhere sees a girl with $40,000.
I don't care if you believe me or not.
Not missing so much that she'd run away. From what?
Stole some money.
A lot.
$40,000.
Some nowhere sees a girl with $40,000.
I like these calm little moments before the storm.
mirror. You say his name 5 times. He'll appear behind you, breathing down your neck.
That's totally true.
So Billy began. He looked in the mirror and he said,
Ice. 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 Ice.
she looked in the mirror, and I don't know why, but she said his name the last time. She turned out the lights.
Keep away from me! Keep away from me!
This is the scariest story I've ever heard.
You and I continue the stories, slice of lives.
I don't know what happened. I just woke up in that place and there was blood everywhere.
We think that when you did that, you opened up a doorway to an evil parallel universe.
There's one more thing. A terrible presence is in there with her.
One real said there were no monsters. No real ones, but there are.
Come with me and be immortal. You're mine now.
This is the scariest story I've ever heard. And it's totally true.
If you look in the mirror, you say his name 5 times. He'll appear behind you, breathing down your neck.
You want to try? So Billy began. He looked in the mirror. What he saw turned his hair white from shock.
A mystery that is steeped in the supernatural.
That's totally true.
You believe in me. You believe in me. Come with me and be immortal.
What's the boogeyman?
As a matter of fact, it was.
Book of the Dead. Book of the Dead. The book is bound in human flesh, inked in human blood. A volume of ancient Sumerian burial practices and funerary incantations. It is entitled Natural Remondo. It deals with demons, with forces which roam the forest and dark powers of man's domain. The first few pages warn that these enduring creatures may lie dormant but are never truly dead. I believe I have made a significant find in the Kandarian ruins, a volume of ancient Sumerian burial practices and funerary incantations. It is entitled Natural Remondo, roughly translated Book of the Dead. The book is bound in human flesh, inked in human blood. It deals with demons, demon resurrection, and those forces which roam the forest and dark powers of man's domain. The first few pages warn that these enduring creatures may lie dormant, but are never truly dead. They may be recalled to active life through the incantations presented in this book. It is entitled Naturam de Manfami, roughly translated, Book of the Dead. Book of the Dead.
What's that for? It's just getting good.
I just don't want to hear it anymore, that's